Hello and welcome to another episode of FinTech Focus TV with me, Toby. Today we are out in Milan and I'm delighted to introduce you to Sanja Son, the CEO of Utrust. Sanja, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you, Toby. Great to be here with all of you today.
Absolutely. Listen, it's really good to have you on the show. There's so much to unpick. You are in probably the coolest area of financial technology at the moment. Everything seems to be happening at an enormous pace at the moment. We're going to be talking about the crypto ecosystem, blockchain, e-commerce, Web3, your evolution, loads and loads of stuff to unpack today. So before we go into that, I feel very honoured to be speaking to someone who I think is becoming one of the most sought after speakers in the space. You seem to be everywhere at the moment. There's a great bio to where you're speaking and everything that's happening. So we'll come on to what that means and why that's happening at the moment. Before we do that, give us a little bit of background, if you would, about you, your story, and the Utrust story as well.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for the great intro. I'm very, very honored. So yeah, I joined this space, the Web3 space, in late 2017. So my story of entering into blockchain and crypto was a bit different to like what the majority of people do. Because usually what you will see, like a lot of people come in the industry as investors or traders because they see the opportunity of crypto. And for me, that came sort of later. So in 2017, I was working in the corporate space for many years. So I worked for eBay, Vodafone, and at the time I was at PayPal. And basically my team was building the payment solution for marketplace players. So basically, my idea came from a need to make payments more efficient at the time. And I had this idea, why don't we bring blockchain technology into our payment stack at PayPal to make payments, faster, better, and cheaper for our customers. And long story short, it was too early. So I was in a European market as well. I was living in London in the UK. Basically, by the time I was researching a lot of companies already providing payment solutions on blockchain in Europe, and I found Utrust. So at the time, there was almost nothing, like no product, no MVP, just a white paper. And I was like, wow, this seems like an amazing solution that will solve for, a lot of the problems that we see in the traditional payments industry with all the costs associated, especially for international payments, to solve for fraud as well, for cross-border transactions. So I sent a LinkedIn message to the original founder, and I said, "What you're developing is great. Can we talk about it?" And he flew to see me. I was in Italy in that week. We had lunch, and we decided that we wanted to work together. And yeah, since then I've been working at Utrust, and basically what we solve for is all the major issues that you will find in traditional payments. So we allow merchants to radically decrease payment processing fees. And by using blockchain, really remove all the traditional middlemen in the payment chain. So basically eliminate fraud as well, eliminate chargebacks, and really open up our customers to this amazing new asset class of people who want to pay with crypto. And today there are more than 350 million, I think, people globally who own crypto, want to pay with crypto, are passionate by paying in crypto. So it's really, closing that gap between traditional.
Is that the number now? 350 million people. Is that? Well, that's incredible, isn't it? I would never have had it at that sort of scale. So we're seeing that sort of evolution and boom in the space. I mean, that's an incredible story for how you become a sort of founding member of a team with a LinkedIn message and a quick flight to Milan to put that all together. Tell me about that journey. I mean, look, you're sat there in a you spoke about some three giants of businesses there, and probably quite settled within that. What attracted you to sort of move out and take that sort of role on and follow the dream of a white paper that's quite interesting?
Yeah, I think, everyone at the time thought that I was like kind of crazy because it's difficult when you are with something secure, with a great brand, a great company. It's kind of difficult to make that jump, right? For people who are from corporate to go in a startup environment. That's happening more and more, but at the time that I did it, like not many people were doing it, especially in Europe. And I think For me, it was driven mostly by a desire to make an impact and really change something that can be a radical change for not only businesses, but individuals moving forward, and really bring a technology that can make an impact on people's lives and serve everyone, like regardless of where they are, they can pay because they just need a device, they need internet connection. And anyone who's a merchant, regardless of if they're small or a big entity, they can get paid in crypto or euros. So it was really like driven by that desire to say, we're talking a lot about financial inclusion, but we're not really inclusive. And with this technology, we can really serve everyone. And it's proven that now it was a successful move after a few years, but it was ups and downs, of course, because it's difficult to compete in a new market. You're doing things that no one else is doing, so you're being a pioneer in an industry. It's not always.
This is pioneering, as you say. It's over 2 years now, right? So we've seen quite a 2 years come on us as well. This isn't something like normal times, but it's been times that have almost been quite well suited to this sort of venture and this sort of need. We've seen an awful lot of rapid innovation and rapid growth of businesses because of the environment. How much has the last 2 years actually fueled the growth of the business and people's adaptability to do things differently in terms of their payments?
Yeah, I think, what I always say is that 1 year in crypto, it's like probably 7 to 8 years in like
it's dog years, right?
And, every year there's a new trend and, new opportunities coming ahead. So if we look into only Utrust and our business, there was an increase of almost 400% in transacted volume. And, more and more people want to pay with crypto, more and more people want to receive crypto. And at the beginning, when we launched our solution in 2018, it was mostly crypto to fiat. So mostly people that, wanted to offer a crypto solution for their buyers, but still they wanted to receive in their bank account euros or GBP, for example. And now that's really shifting into more and more merchants want to settle in crypto because it's more efficient, it's cost effective. They want to keep it in their treasury like Tesla is doing, like MicroStrategy is doing, and, use it as an opportunity. So we're really seeing like a shift of mindset in the last 18 months that is rapidly accelerating across all the verticals and all the industries.
There's definitely been that sort of feeling as it sort of becomes a genuine player in the marketplace, which I think we've certainly seen that evolution. I want to unpack that and go into the sort of detail of it in a second, but I also know that, as you say, you're in Milan at the moment, but a lot of your team and the business is based out of Portugal, right? And one of the things we were saying before we came on air was that Portugal has been a real mecca for tech talent over recent years, and we've seen loads of companies offshoring to Portugal, where there is a real good depth of talented technologists. I know you've said in the same thing that the depth of blockchain talent in particular is really strong out there. How's that been for you? How's it been having the team out in Portugal, and what access to talent has that brought you?
Yeah, it's great. And I think, there are several areas that I think are very attractive for both companies and individuals to base their business in Portugal or their fiscal residence. So one is particularly when we talk about Web3 and blockchain, Portugal provides a very clear framework as well of, how crypto and blockchain is treated as an asset. Is very clear what you need to do. And unfortunately, that's not the case in other countries. So, when you come in Portugal, you know exactly what to do. The second thing is great developers. So there is great talent that is based in Portugal. We have our main office in Portugal, although we are now international. So people work really everywhere in the world. But I think still 75% or more of the team is based in Portugal because we were born there. Great talent is based there. More and more people are relocating to Portugal as well. A lot of companies operating in the Web3 and blockchain space as well. And really also for expats, so for people coming outside of Portugal, there are great incentives and great tax incentives. So I think the government is doing a great job in attracting talent, attracting companies. And in November, during the last Web Summit, which is, the greatest tech event in Europe, based in Lisbon, we were invited to, have dinner with the government because they really want to attract companies like ourselves, and you feel welcome and you feel you can collaborate with the regulators, with the government. So it's a great place to be, and a place that, will attract more and more talent and companies for sure.
I think that sort of government appetite to innovate has been sort of very characteristic of places like Portugal. The more that governments can do to set companies up to succeed in the space, it's going to be a real sort of arms race, I think, to see where it stands out. But Portugal definitely well situated for all of that as well. Let's take a step back and look at this journey. There'll be people here who've got various different levels of understanding of where crypto is. It's obviously a word that's on everyone's, whether you're hugely educated in the space or completely ill-educated in the space. It's phraseology that everyone's talking about at the moment. Crypto, Web3, blockchain, it's a bingo card of it's one of the most talked about technologies and areas of interest in the world at the moment. Take it into that crypto world. What does a crypto payment actually mean?
So starting from the merchant, so the merchant is our main customer, then I can touch base on the buyer side as well. Maybe the simplest way of thinking about it is looking at what happens today if you're using a payment gateway like PayPal or Stripe, or even a bank transfer, especially if you're doing your business internationally, which is like today 90% of people in the world, they want to do business across the globe and in other countries. You will probably end up paying between 3, 4 to 12% just to cover payment processing fees. So just to use someone's service. The second area is chargebacks. So stolen credit cards as well, people not recognizing transactions in the bank, chargebacks to the final seller and buyer. And that today represents more than a 40 billion loss in the e-commerce industry. Payments are super slow to settle internationally. So if I'm settling a payment from a corridor like the US to India, for example, it might take several days or like more than a week to settle the payment. So as you can imagine, it's not really efficient to operate like that. It's not cost effective for the merchant as well. So what does it mean to have a crypto payment? It means that we remove all of these hassles. And the payment is a 1% fee that we charge to the merchant. So really cost effective. And it doesn't matter really, what are the payment corridors. So a truly international payment solution. 2, completely eliminating the cost of chargebacks, because we don't work with credit cards, for example. The payment is always originated in crypto. The merchant can choose if they want to settle in fiat or crypto. So if they want to keep their business as usual, with their bank, they can settle in euros or GBP, but open up to a new asset class of customers. So it's a really, amazing proposition for merchants, our main clients, but also to buyers. And for buyers, it really depends today of, where they live. In countries like Turkey or, countries with unstable governments, a lot of inflation, people already use crypto to hedge their wealth. They use it to pay for everyday goods and services. And they already use it as a more efficient payment method. So it's really like a win-win situation, both on the merchant side and on the buyer side.
And with sort of well-documented issues around inflation at the moment, does that create a perfect storm for further advance in this?
Yeah, let's say that today, where we see more adoption is with emerging countries, let's call them, where there's high inflation or like distrust in the government. So those are like developing more quickly and people are paying with crypto at a more rapid pace. But there's also very high adoption in more developed countries, in Europe, for example. And that's mostly driven like by institutions as well, entering the space, more trust that people are seeing when, large companies are adopting crypto. So different behaviors, but in the end, like same kind of rate of adoption as well.
Well, it seems like when you talk about trust of government, there's not a huge amount of that anywhere at the moment, is it? That's a whole other story. We stay off politics and all of this. Let's talk a little bit about, I know you've intimated this already, but Web3 payments and what it means looking further forward. It feels like every single month at the moment we're living in the future with how quickly digital transformation has taken over of late. I was speaking to a leader of a business a couple of weeks ago who said that everything is pointing at Web3 at the moment. If he's talking or discussing or advising any business about where they should be investing their time, effort and money, it's around Web3 at the moment. Talk to us about the hype around Web3 payments and what the future does look like at the moment.
Yeah. So there's a very basic component, let's say, of Web3 that I kind of already touched base, but it's really the decentralization, the fact that we're not relying on one single entity like a central bank or a government to manage an institution, to take care of, payments in this single entity. But then, if you look into payments, there's a whole space about ownership as well and sharing revenues with our customers. So what happens today if you're using a traditional payment gateway, let's say, to make it simple, is that as a merchant, if you're choosing to leave money on their platform, they will use it, they will reinvest it, and they will not share any of these revenues with the customer. And the same happens like with traditional banks, and like that's how the traditional payment system works. And in Web3, that changes completely. And what we are developing and already testing with our customers is if you're a merchant and you're using our solution, you can have more money and you can turn your fees into profits. So basically, we allow you not only to leave your profits on our platform, but we give you yield on top of that. So you can earn more, the more money you leave on our platform. And that's a very fundamental shift between, the old web and the old way we do payments into Web3, which is really not only decentralized, open, and transparent, but it's also about how can I share revenue with the customer, in our case, mostly the seller.
So with all of that, and you're able to, I think the interesting thing about what you're talking about here is, and your passion, going straight back to the very start of this conversation, your passion for coming in there to see something which solves a real problem that's out there in the marketplace at the moment, or opportunity. I think this is probably much more opportunity than it is problem in terms of how we can do things better and drive things and improve it. You've seen 400% increases in the business over the last couple of years. Does that just continue to climb? What's next on that front?
I think that's just like scratching the surface of what we can do, because most of our growth so far has been quite organic. And I think, this is really the year to go full steam. We recently joined forces. I don't know if you saw it with Elron Network. So both of our communities combined, we really think the future is more than bright. And this is only the start. Really, and 400% will be much, much more at the end of this year.
That sounds exciting. 400% seeming like a big number in the first place. When it's much, much more, it gets even more so, doesn't it? So how do you capitalize on that? Look, you've been going there, as you say, through organic phases. You're linking up communities with other interested players. Communities and collaboration seems to be at the center of a lot of growth in this area. What does the journey look like? I guess the thing about Web3 and blockchain is it's evolved so quickly that sort of 3 to 5 year projections are very difficult to look at, because it can change markedly and accelerate in 3 to 4 weeks, let alone 3 to 4 years. But how do you plan that with so much volatility in all of that sort of thing? How do you plan what it looks like moving further forward over time?
Yeah, we usually have a yearly roadmap. And by the way, this is the first year that we started building in public. Okay. And that's also like the beauty of Web3 is we build in public. So everything we are planning for will be available for the community. The community can vote as well. They can give feedback on what they think is the best opportunity. And that's really the value of Web3, of being able to serve customers and being able to engage, not only the company, but your extended community into everything we do. So our roadmap in the first few months will be much focused on providing merchant yield, which I just explained before. So rolling it out in a way that, merchants can earn the more they use our platform as well. Also, what is coming this year is a much better focus into single verticals. So what we see is that there is a high end to serve real estate, for example, with an ad hoc solution that today we don't offer publicly to everyone. So we will be releasing that as well to the public, being able to serve higher and large transactions as well. Also for us, the payment experience is one of the key aspects on which we will be focusing efforts this year. So being able to include more blockchains, more currencies as well as a payment method for our buyers and sellers. And here as well, the community will play a big role into voting and letting us know what they want to have. So these are some of the things that we are planning for the next few months. There's also a lot happening, like on the token side. We talked about our new tokenomics a few weeks ago in the town hall with the Elrond team, and that will all be released in the next few weeks. And I think that's the most exciting part for our community as well. So how do we capture the value, not only on the seller side, on the buyer side, but on the community as well, so that the token as well grows together with the business.
Unbelievable. I love this idea of community. I think I've been fascinated with community-based growth and community-based selling. But when you're talking about the voting and the influence that communities have on products and companies at the moment, it sort of blows my mind a little bit about as to how it can be genuinely engaged. What sort of prompted and drove the decision to be so immersed in the community and allow that much access to a community to drive your strategy?
Yeah, I think in the end, what we see is that the product you build needs to be not only the product that your customers, in this case, the merchants, will use, but because we sit in a two-sided market, it's the product that the buyers want and it's the product that the token holders will want. And in most cases, like the token holders are the buyers as well, or are the sellers as well. So it's interconnected. And the more we're able to create a platform that is able to capture this, network value across all of these three players, the more we grow together with them, because it's all interconnected. So it's very different than, the traditional payment side and payment methods where, you only speak to one side of customers. Here, everything is interconnected. So the token holders are usually the users as well of the platform, usually the buyers. So they need to be able to participate in having value from the network as well.
I love seeing all of that sort of thing. And it's so good to see that sort of community-led businesses really sort of growing at such a pace as well, showing the sort of viability and the use case of everything that's happening at the moment within the space. Let's give you a couple of quick fire questions. If you were to say one trend that you think is going to move the marketplace, and I think we probably know where this is heading, but if you can say one trend that's going to move the marketplace over the next 12 months in the financial technology sector, what do you think that'll be?
I think it's on top of Web3 payments, it's this concept of changing how we think about what a payment is. And a payment is a way to connect buyers and sellers. And I think everyone, not only in Web3, but also like smart traditional payment platforms, are moving into this concept of super apps. And a super app is an app that it's able to recommend to the customer what are the best, payment options they have. So that actually the payment platform becomes an e-commerce platform, because they work with so many players, so many merchants, that they can actually connect the perfect buyer to the perfect seller and vice versa. So the more we're able to create like this flywheel of connecting like demand with the offer in the market, the more we grow together. So I think this concept of super payment app and transforming a payment platform into an e-commerce platform is going to be the trend also in Web3, but also in traditional payments.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hearing a lot of noise around that at the moment. Let's take a more personal sort of one bit of advice as well. You started a couple of years ago in a really interesting time. You've flown through that and done a great job with your founding team. What's one bit of advice to someone who's starting up now and going on the same journey as you from corporate to startup life? If there was one bit which you wish you'd heard when you first started up, what would that bit of advice be?
I think probably now, like I wish I've done it sooner. And for me, probably there was a lot of fear in terms of, what happens if I fail, or what happens if this goes in a wrong direction and I left something secure. But I think it's really like the learning you have by going into a project that it's a startup, and especially if it's in Web3. Even if, let's say, worst case scenario, it doesn't go well, the learnings you will have and the skills that you will acquire in those years or months, it's something invaluable. And really, everyone is looking into Web3 and blockchain and people that have these skills. And there are more job offers than actually, people that are able to fulfill them. So there's a huge need. And if you make the shift, it will be successful 100%. Maybe not in the first company, maybe in the second one, but you will acquire amazing skills. So you cannot fail in the end. Like there's no failure, only growth.
It's actually a really interesting point. I agree with you on all of those. The confidence to take that and reframe what failure looks like and success looks like around that is important. But you touched on something really interesting there. Is my day job is the recruitment business. You talked there about something which is absolutely, you know, the potential bottleneck to the growth of the sector, in my opinion, which is the access to talent. We're talking here about rapidly changing tech, which people just don't have the experience of so far as it continues to, you know, to evolve as well. What have you done to, as a company, to be able to circumnavigate that war for talent and come out succeeding and growing because of it?
I think, one thing is to be able to attract talent, but the most important thing is to be able to retain talent as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
really, I think what is important now, especially if you want to attract people from Web 2 into Web 3, it's, this concept of being the pioneer, like in an industry pioneering a new technology, new trends, but also giving people like more freedom. And I think the concept of workspace is also changing. We have people working in Africa, in Turkey, in Portugal. So being able to create decentralized teams that work together according to their schedules and giving them, the power to manage their time. It's really key, being able to create a culture to attract great talent where people can grow, where you can invest in their skills. But as I said, like it's very dynamic, and we'll be opening many new positions in the next few months, and it's a competitive landscape as well, and it's difficult to find people that have the right skills as well. So there's an amazing opportunity for people to really jump and learn. And it doesn't mean that you need to have all the skills and competences. And today, like, everything is free and there's so much content that really you can learn yourself. So a great
And
opportunity.
you guys are open for that to, to take, because that's the something which I sometimes see, companies looking for that perfect hire. They're looking for someone who can hit the ground running, and you often wonder about what they're investing and what their investment back into those people are. And I don't think they necessarily look at that, which is why in tech you've got an ever decreasing tenure of the average person in businesses. I love what you said there about retention being just as important as attraction in all of that, because that's right. But in the attraction, having companies have the confidence to be able to wait, the patience to be able to see people pick those skills up. That sounds to be something which you've excelled at as well, giving, hiring for potential as opposed to just talent.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it really depends on the role as well. So, might be that for some roles we look into some skills in a different way, but there's a lot of value of onboarding people from the start. And when they're starting their career, investing in them and coaching them and mentoring them and give them the skills to grow alongside us. That's proven to be a very good thing for us and something that people really enjoy. And also the way we hire has changed a bit. So of course we still hire via traditional channels and using recruiters, and that's always going to be the case. But a lot of people we hired because they interacted with our brand. So they went to an event, they saw like a talk from someone from the team, they came talking to us, they interacted on Twitter, they wrote us on Telegram or whatever. And that's really changing as well, because you're like, oh, wow, this person is really interested in what we do. They're constantly sending us feedback. They want to be part of that. And I really appreciate that. When I receive direct DMs of people that would like to join the team. So that's also like a great way to enter in the space, because I think probably 90% of people will reply to you. Everyone is really nice in this industry, very welcoming. So it's a great way as well to change, just right to like I did. Like I was like, this is great. How can I be part of that? Enter the
And getting in
company,
through
became
LinkedIn is
CEO.
that,
Yeah.
exactly, it's
Or
written, isn't
Twitter
it?
or
Sounds like a perfect plug there to introduce the opportunity for you to say, how do people get in touch with you to do that? Because I agree, look, there's so many, content gives us such a great opportunity at the moment, a platform that, the way everything's set up through social media, through even community-led stuff that you're talking about. When companies are there, are interacting, when they're giving those opportunities, when you see people there who've gone that extra mile to research and look at your business and reach out like that, that's always going to be one of the best hires that you can make, right? So Sanja, there'll be people here who've listened to what you've been saying. They like what they're hearing. They're excited about some of the coolest stuff that's going on out in the marketplace at the moment, and will want to get in touch with you. What's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so the first way is to look into our careers page where we often publish all the roles that we're hiring. But really, don't wait for that. You can reach out to us directly as a company on all the social media channels, to me directly, on Twitter or Telegram, and I will always reply. So yeah, all the major social media channels, you can write us or go through our website as well.
And when are we going to next hear you speak on global panels and all that sort of thing? You seem to be very busy on that. When can people sign up to something and hear what you've got to say?
Oh, wow. There are a lot of events that the team is scheduling in the next few months, and we always publish them as well on Telegram and Twitter, so people can always know where I'm speaking and where everyone else in the team is speaking. But we try to do like twice per month. Either we go to events directly or online.
Yeah.
So there will be a lot of opportunities.
So good to see them coming back up. So Telegram, Twitter, LinkedIn, we seem to have all the channels here to hear everything from you and the team. Sanja, it's been absolutely brilliant hearing about this. It's gone in a flash, and there's so much more I could find out from you. So maybe we'll have you back on the show in the not too distant future to hear about the next part of 400% growth in the next couple of weeks by the sounds of it. Absolutely incredible. It's a really innovative sector, and it's great to see that you guys are pioneering in that space as well. We really appreciated having you on the show. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolute pleasure. And thank you all for watching. We will see you soon on another episode of FinTech Focus TV. Thanks a lot.